get watched.
Who knows, Marissa?
Who knows? I might just be a university
university
blogger.
dropout.
Oh, drop out of. Oh, imagine.
Surprise,
Surprise, guys! Dropped out of school. I'm now a YouTuber.
Right after making this video.
Can think of.
Foco, baby.
Yeah. Ooh.
Chem test.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay, hi guys. Welcome back to another one of my videos. As you can tell, I am not back home in my usual setting. In the beginning of the month, I moved into my school, so I'm at Western. I'm living in res here at Ontario Hall, and you'll be seeing a lot more of this background. I know that last year I was stressing out about university applications and like how it worked, and I didn't really know anyone who applied to out of province, so I thought it would be useful for me to make this type of video for you guys. It's basically like how I applied to the Ontario schools that I applied to through OWAC. I'm an out of province kid, I'm from BC. It's like a different application. But yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you clicked on this video, you probably already are thinking of applying out of province or into Ontario. So if you didn't know, the basics for that is all the Ontario schools, you have to apply to them all together through a site called OWAC. OUAC. If you're out of province, so for any BC kids, anyone who's not an Ontario student, basically, you apply through a specific OWAC called 105. For me, like how I started with my like uni application stuff is like kind of figuring out like where I wanted to go first. Like I had known friends who were like older than me who applied to Western. I knew a lot of people who applied to Queen's. And then I had kind of heard more about McMaster through research, but I did a lot of like going to university fairs, so I ended up applying to Western, Queen's, and McMaster. Just got a feel for the school back home while I was at university fairs there, so just like look up when there are university fairs. There's like a big one at the Vancouver Convention Center, and they had ones from international. There's a lot from China and Australia, and then they also had a lot of Canadian universities. McGill would have been there, and UVic and UBC. Those were obviously big booths. You grab like a pamphlet and a book with like usually all the programs in it, and then I went home and I like did extra research and I like searched up the specific schools, what their program was like. And then after I went to like fairs, then I went on to OWAC and I put in the programs that I wanted to apply for in Ontario. And you apply for the specific program and not just the school. Basically you get on OWAC for like you pay one price to get 3 programs. So then I wanted to do 4. I did Western MedSci, Western Health Sci, McMaster Health Sci, and Queen's Health Sci. So I ended up paying like $350 around there for 4 programs, and I sent it in by October 11th. I don't know what the specific due date was, but I think it's around then. So if you're interested in like medicine like I am, those are like usually the 4 programs that people apply to, minus Western Health Sci I think. But if you want to go to Western and you're not sure if you're going to make it into MedSci, Health Sci is a good choice. And then after you send that in, the individual schools will email you with like specific details. So I don't really remember Mac and Queen's as much because I kind of knew I wanted to go to Western, but for Western at least, they sent me an email with like the deadlines, important deadlines I needed to meet, information on whether I needed a supplemental or not, and for Western you don't, at least not for Health Sci or MedSci, I think most of them don't, and then the requirements on like what grades you need to get in, and then how to check your status, so whether you've gotten in or not. For Queen's, only thing I remember them talking about is the PSE, which is the personal statement of experience, I think. And it's kind of like if you apply to UBC, it's like the personal profile. You just have to like talk about yourself. And I sent that one in by like mid-December. And then for McMaster, they just sent me information about the supplementals. It's like specific for the program. I don't know if all of Mac has this, but for Health Sci at least, there's like this really big, hard, confusing question that they ask you. And you have to do like a lot of research. It's really annoying, but like if you're really interested in it, obviously you're gonna do it. But they released those questions in January. I like looked at the past questions and they were like quite difficult. If you like look at that ahead, you can kind of make sure it doesn't surprise you type of thing. Eventually they'll give you like a time period of when you can send in your supplementary for McMaster, and mine was in like February. I think the last date for me to send it in was February 15th, and They give you a week. And then after that, there's not really much you can do. For Western, I pretty much like, I didn't have to do anything. There's like no writing about yourself at all for me. For Queens, it was the PSC, and for McMaster, it's just a supplementary. So Western was like definitely the easiest application I had to send in. It can be good or bad whether like you want to like supplement your grades with like how you write. And that's pretty much it until you get your term 2 marks. Western and Queens are automatic, so if you're from BC and you do the like BC transcript services, you just choose a whole bunch of like the schools that you're applying to. For Queens, eventually like they'll send you an email when you need to do it, but you also have to send like an actual mailed copy, like physical copy, and mail it like the old style way to the university. So that was kind of annoying, but you know, whatever. Make sure you like try and send it in earlier because it needs to be there by a certain date. You have to get to like your counselor to just like mail it in for you, and I think at my high school at least they have like, you can just go up to the front desk and they'll give you like official name of like your high school like envelope, because it has to be like from your school. And then for McMaster, there's like an online form that you fill in. One thing that you'll do for sure is when you're applying to the schools, you have to check the requirements obviously, and like what your averages need to be, and like making sure you're staying on top of your school so that you can get that average that you need if you want to get into that program. But for courses, at least, if you still have time to switch your courses now, for Queens and Western, they just needed an English 12. I think that's pretty general for all the schools. And then they asked for 3 more academics, and that's what they used to calculate your average. And then for McMaster, it was English 12 and then 4 additional courses. I don't know if it has to be academic. I think some of them don't have to be, but I think they have to be grade 12 courses. And then it's just a waiting game for a really long time. Some of my admissions came in really early. Some of mine came in like after I already accepted Western. So January 10th was when I got my first admission, Western Health Sci admission, and that was right after school started from winter break. So that was really exciting. I remember sitting at the dinner table and being like, oh my god, Mom, and I like screamed upstairs, and I was like, okay, good, I'm at least at a school and at least like I'm in Western. And then after that, on January 22nd, I got my Western Med Sci admissions, and then it was just like waiting for a really long time. But then on May 9th, 5 months down the road from when I got my first admission into Western, I got my McMaster Health Sci. That one was really surprising because by April 18th, I already had to like accept. I already had to accept my offer to UWO. I was like, okay, that's like kind of really late, but obviously you can like take away your acceptance. At that point, I had already known that I wanted to go to Western, and I had already gone on my tour by then, so I like didn't like the feel of McMaster, so I was like, okay, whatever. It's nice to know that I got in though. Queens was really weird because for my year at least, they opened up their health science program into like real classrooms, and it would have been their first like intake year, and the grades were like between Med Sci and Health Sci at Western. The hardest for me was Mac. Second hardest was UWO Med Sci, then Queens Health Sci, then UWO Health Sci. Like it was weird that I got into Mac Health Sci and not Queens, but basically they put me on the wait list for the in-class program for Health Sci at Queens, and then they were like, sorry, you didn't get in like after like in late May. And then they were like, but if you didn't get into the in-class ones, but you got into the online ones, so if you want it, you can accept that one instead. Abby was talking about how she thought that her like transcript didn't get sent in right away, so you have to like mail it, so it might have been something like that. Pretty much most of like the application process, but like when you're deciding, for me, I knew that touring was something I wanted to do before I committed to like living in some random place for 4 years. I was lucky enough to be able to go out and see all 3 of the schools that I had applied to. This was before I got my admissions to Queens or McMaster. I made a video on that, I vlogged it, so I'll put it somewhere. You'll see it. That helped me a lot. Like I think that if I hadn't gone on that tour, I probably would have accepted McMaster, because just because it's like a better program, it's supposed to be easy once you get in. But after I went, like I saw the dorms, and I didn't really like the feel of the campus as much as I liked Western. So for me, like that was a really big deciding factor. Besides that, that's like pretty much it. Anything is just like little tips is like talk to the people, anyone you know or like might know, like a family friend at the schools you're applying to, especially if it's out of province. And then another thing is that's really big is to stay up to date on your dates and deadlines. Like there's just so many dates when like things are due, like when you have to send something in, or like when you have to accept an offer. That's pretty important. Don't miss that one. As soon as I found a date, I would put it into my calendar to make sure I wouldn't miss it. I'd put like an alert for it like a week before, just in case anything happened. And then the last tip I would give would be to check your email a lot. Like, you get a lot of emails, especially if you apply to a lot of different schools. And like, some of them are really useless. It's just like newsletters. But some of them have like essential information about like new dates or deadlines. You just have to like monitor your emails and your deadlines a lot. That's like super important. That's pretty much the whole process. It's really stressful. That's life. Everyone's always stressing about it a lot, which is fair. It's like something that's really stressful because you don't really know what you want to do. Right now it's like September and you're thinking about next September already. But like, I don't know, I feel like people put a lot of pressure on when like it's actually not like the most difficult thing in the world to get in. If you really want to get in, like you will put in the effort. Like, don't stress about it too much. I know it's hard to like understand, but like, you just don't need to stress as much as they make you stress. Is there anything else, Abby?
No.
No?
Now you get to live with me.
Yeah, now I get to live with Abby.
Why do you say it like that?
Yeah, now I get to live with Abby.
Probably for the next 4 years.
Yeah. BC Hall. I'm gonna make some more videos about like university, obviously, because I think that's like kind of what a lot of people are like looking for. And there's a lot of things that like surprised us about when we were moving here, especially from BC. It's like a big culture shock. If you guys have any questions or anything that I missed, you can like ask me about it or put it in the comments, or like if you know me personally, just text me. I'm really like okay to answer any of your guys' questions. I know it can be really stressful and it's just like, bleh. It's horrible. I hate that part of my life. It's like a hard time of life, but you'll be fine. I'm probably making like roommate tag we want to do soon because I have 2 sweet mates, Michelle and Audrey. They're the best. Obviously there's Abby, whatever.
What? Are you honest right now?
Yeah, I'm honest right
That
now.
hurts so bad.
Yeah, you want to come say hi? For like the last second. Usually people don't watch to the end anyway. Okay, so this is Abby. We'll be making like a roommate tag.
Love you guys.
Love
like,
you
comment,
guys.
subscribe down below.
UWO.
Western.
Oh.
Bye guys. Love you.
What is it?
Quack.
Quack fiends. Quack fiends.
Quack.
Okay, bye. I